We're going to start the camera.
Okay, my name is Amalia Amee.
I'm Amy Coe.
I'm Ashley Johnson.
Taylor Jones. And we did our research project on journalism with a focus on reporters. Okay, so here's a basic definition of what journalism is. It's a process of reporting news through writing, editing, and photographing. Typically, aspiring journalists should have a bachelor's degree in journalism or another primary interest subject such as economics or government, and also graduate studies are recommended. Also, you should know that news is presented through 8 media outlets. Does anybody know what they are? I know you do. You can't say it.
TV.
Okay, television is one. Radio. Okay.
Print,
Well, what kind of print? Be more specific.
newspaper.
Right.
Magazine.
Magazines.
Internet.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? Okay, newspaper, radio. Did we say radio? Yeah. Television, internet, magazine, movies, books, and recordings. Okay. Employers look for those who have stuff to show on their resume. That is why a lot of experience is important. You can gain experience by writing for an on-campus publication, reporting for a print or broadcast organization, and internships. Does anybody know any on-campus publications besides the Diamondback?
Isn't it like Route 1 or something like that? Like some type of Route 1 group? I don't know.
We have the Mitzvah, we have the Public Asian, Unwind Magazine. We also have a lot of radio stations. Okay, and also, speaking multiple languages is very beneficial because it increases opportunities and you're able to conduct interviews in that language. So say if you're a reporter and those who are involved in the story are Hispanic or just speak another language, you should be able to conduct an interview in that language. Okay, I interviewed my journalism professor. Her name is Denise Cabrera, and as you can see, she's very experienced. She spent 20 years working for the Associated Press. She was a Metro editor and national editor. She worked for the bureau chief in Baltimore. She was a Washington Times Coffee Desk reporter, and so on. Okay, when I interviewed her, I asked her, how do journalists maintain interpersonal relationships? And it was very interesting because she calls first date, that means to develop a relationship with your sources. Your source is anyone you use for your story, so an attribution. So on this first date, you would discuss other issues besides the story to try to develop a relationship. But you also want to keep a professional relationship. And also, to develop interpersonal relationships, you need to go on the scene where the event happened, and interview real people, those who are involved in the stories. Sometimes reporters make mistakes by writing false or offensive statements, but they must be corrected. This may come from the reporter's attribution, so whoever you use as your source may have said the person's name wrong, and that would cause the reporter to say in the story when they reported it, the name wrong, so you would have to correct it. A lot of publications have a corrections policy which the reporter have to follow. Also, if you spell someone's name wrong, you have to correct that immediately. Also, offensive language, typically reporters give a reader's note or warning. Oftentimes, the offensive language may be true. Like if you say someone is handicapped, a lot of times in the past that has been known as offensive because people don't want to be referred to as handicapped. So now they say disabled, which is also kind of, people say that's offensive, but it's in fact, there's no other way to say that you're disabled.
I focused on.
We had a link.
Oh.
Yeah, I was looking for. Here's a video showing some qualifications for journalists.
said it was only a dream. Dreaming was only for fools. But let me tell you a secret.
So you want to know the qualifications?
Dreams are alive just like me and you. And dreams can be real if you let them. Fabric of your life. Touch the feel of cotton. The fabric of my life.
So you want to know the qualifications for being a journalist. Well, to be a conventional journalist, that is someone who works for conventional media like newspapers or television or magazines or radio stations, you're pretty much going to need a bachelor's degree in journalism or something like history or English or something related to journalism. You're certainly going to need typing skills and writing skills. And you're going to need some evidence to present to your employer that you have these skills. For print journalists, that usually means a book of clips of newspaper articles that you've published. For broadcast media, it's going to mean a collection of recordings of you on the air or on the radio doing what you do. So you're going to need that. Now that's for conventional journalism. For other kinds of journalism,
Okay, so when I think of journalism, I never really thought that there'd be like risk involved until I don't know if you guys heard about the story about the 2 Asian American reporters that were captured in North Korea. It happened this summer. Basically, they went overseas and they wanted to report a story about, the life there. And they were caught by Korean Gate soldiers and they were sent to like years, I believe like up to like 5 or something, 5 years of like labor camps, which is like a prison. And they were like rescued later when former President Clinton went over and, I don't know if did you guys hear about that? Yeah. So, and so after that happened, I really wanted to focus on the risk. And the best way to cover a story, it really is to go there and see like what happens, especially in like TV broadcasting, like you see live coverage, all the time. Stuff like what happened with like Katrina, people like that went there and reported, and even like just recently the storms in the Philippines, like, just broadcasting that, it's obviously a risk. And I have a link of, I believe it's war, just covering like how dangerous it could be.
Explosions. Gunfire. But our convoy was hit by a roadside bomb. These are scenes from Richard Engel's tenure as a correspondent in Iraq.
If you're there long enough, you will be in an IED attack, and you will, if you covered it for an extended period of time during 2005 to 2007, there was a serious kidnapping threat. So it just is a factor of math.
While U.S. forces were securing the site, Engel is one of the few American journalists to have covered Iraq continuously, before, during, and after the U.S.-led invasion. Since 2003, 130 members of the news media have been killed in Iraq. Most of them were Iraqis. The Committee to Protect Journalists says the Iraqi conflict has been one of the most dangerous journalists have ever covered.
I think I've been very fortunate. Some of my colleagues have been killed, and more reporters have been killed.
Oh, sorry. I just didn't know there was nothing. Okay, and also, along with like the risk, I want to just focus on, I guess, other cultures in journalism too. And well, this is like information I got kind of from my interviewing. Basically, journalism across the globe, there are different education requirements. For instance, my interview, who is like my TA for my journalism class, she just came to America, and she told me like she was she worked for the newspaper in Korea, and basically there you don't even need to have a degree in journalism. She graduated with a degree in anthropology, and all you really need is to pass like an extensive English test. So you have to know American, speak English like there. Also, the newspapers there are always privately owned. Like here, it's all public. Like Fox News, like it's like one big chain. There, it's usually just like small families like own it, and they like just run their own company. Also in America, she was telling me that here there's a lot of like